It is a momentous, historic night, no doubt. Give us a sense of how you're feeling. 3 words to sum up this evening.
Well, one would be relieved. I'm relieved that we're ending the division in our country. I'm also pleased, that's another word, that we can get on with our lives. And I'm excited about the opportunities that lie ahead as a sovereign nation.
Obviously, the Prime Minister has pre-recorded a statement. We'll get to hear that after 10 o'clock this evening. He talked about new beginnings. He talked about a new era. He talked about a new chapter in the history of our country. He talked also about unity. So what is the message to the people of Britain, to the people of the UK now from this government?
Look, that's right, and we had a cabinet in Sunderland today, and the Prime Minister repeated that message, which I think there'll be a message from him later this evening to the country. But it is about this, where we're moving on as a country. We are ending this chapter that we've had with the EU, and we've achieved a lot together, but we're opening this new, exciting chapter where we will still be having a very good partnership with our European friends, working together in many ways, but also as a sovereign nation, being able to do so much more. As well as working with our European friends, we can open up new trade agreements around the world. We can have laws and regulations for businesses that suit our businesses. We can do so much more, and I think that's what makes it so exciting.
Brexit is done will be the message. We've had take back control, get Brexit done. Clearly, it's not the case that Brexit is done. The months ahead will be tricky with the trade negotiations. I know Michael Gove was the person dispatched today to tell people that actually divergence is the name of the game, that there will be friction at the borders. And I put it to you, how many weeks of people queuing for hours at Britain's borders before that policy unravels?
Well, look, Brexit will be done tonight. So in about a couple of hours, Brexit will be done. We will be outside of the EU. Of course, for this year, we've got the transition period, and we're going to use that time to get a Canada-style free trade agreement with our European friends. I'm confident we'll get that, and it'll be fantastic for us. It will be good for them. But also, there's so much else to do. In that election we had last month, we were very clear about the need to level up, to spread opportunity. In our country, wherever you go, like in Sunderland today, there's talent everywhere. We are blessed with talent, but there's not enough opportunity. So we want to spread opportunity across the country. That means investing more in infrastructure. It means investing more in skills, getting rid of regulations that might be holding business back, and working as a country where our economy can get even stronger and we can spread opportunity everywhere. So there's a lot of challenges that still lie ahead.
Yes, apologies for interrupting you. No economy gets stronger if trade is held up, though, does it? If indeed those goods that need to be delivered to supermarkets are held up in Calais. How do you guarantee to people that the trade that you are envisaging under a Canada deal will not lead to friction that disrupts the economy in this country?
Look, I am very confident, and it's not just me. And let's look at business. Let's look at what's actually happening. Since the election that we've just had, we have business that has got off the fence and started investing again. Business after business. I've talked to many of them since the election, and confidence is back in Britain. Just last week, the IMF upgraded growth forecasts for countries across the world, and they forecast that this year the UK will grow faster than Germany, than France, than Italy, than Japan. They've taken into account that we're going to have a free trade agreement, a new way of doing business with the rest of Europe. So there's lots of excitement out there, and we can really move ahead, and I can really see that confidence throughout the country.
Yes, well, we had Mark Carney downgrading the growth forecast, obviously, for the UK only earlier today. Talking about the Canada deal, a nice off-the-shelf model that people can understand. The problem is that the Treasury's own forecast had said it would mean a loss of 4.9% to the British economy over 15 years compared to staying in the European Union. And it doesn't include services. That is what? More than 80% of our economy.
Well, first of all, you just mentioned a downgrading forecast by some, and the point there is that you find me a country anywhere in the world that hasn't had its forecast downgraded in the recent weeks, the last few months, and that's because there is a problem for the global economy. But Britain is doing well. We want it to do better, and that, of course, means our services industries, our financial services industry, for example, is hugely important in terms of job and wealth creation for everyone. And it's something that I know will continue to go from strength to strength as we leave the EU and we strike a new trade agreement.
Let's talk about fishing if we can. It seems to be the first great stumbling block that the UK government and the European Union will come up against. Just 0.04% of the economy here in the UK, and yet absolutely crucial to the French president, Emmanuel Macron, making clear that without good trade in fishing, that the rest of it you can forget about. 180,000 jobs across the EU bloc in fishing alone. Why are you deciding to look after fishing at the expense of a trade deal?
It's not about looking after fishing or anything else. It's about looking after Britain and looking after our interests. And that's what taking back control means. By leaving the EU, leaving the common market, leaving the customs union and all of that, it means that we won't be rule takers and we can do things that are in the interests of the United Kingdom. Of course, we'll work with our European friends, we'll strike that free trade agreement, but the rules that we follow will be our own rules. So when it comes to fishing, we will take control of our waters. When it comes to financial services, we'll continue to work with the EU countries as well as countries outside the EU and remain very strong in that sector. Other countries have managed to not be in the EU and be incredibly successful economies, and there's no reason why we can't do that.
And the idea is to have simultaneous trade deals and negotiations underway with the EU, with the US, with Japan, with Australia and with New Zealand, is it?
We are starting negotiations as well as the EU. As you say, we will be beginning discussions with our friends in the United States, with Australia, Japan, of course. And it's important because now we have this freedom. We can strike these trade deals. And of course, they have to work for those countries. They have to work for us. But it means that we can open up to trade to the benefit of British consumers and the British economy in a way we couldn't do before.
Hopefully you'll have a few job adverts out to get trade negotiators if you're having them all at the same time, which is most important.
We have actually hired many over the last couple of years, so I'm more than confident we can handle them all at once. Well, I don't have the exact number, it's not my department, but I know that a lot has been done, and I'm confident we've got the resources in place to have all these negotiations at once.
Okay, it's going to be a hard task, certainly, isn't it? Do you have any nerves? Do you have any nerves that you can't take the country together? Can you make a promise to the nation tonight that for the sake of the 48% of people, for the sake of exporters in this country, for the sake of retired people in southern Spain, for example, who want to get their medicines, that you and the government will work doggedly and determinedly to get a deal with the European Union?
We will not waste an ounce of energy in getting a deal. That's what we will be absolutely focused on in terms of getting our Canada-style free trade agreement. So Brexit will be done tonight. We will get the free trade agreement. I'm very confident of that. And let me just say, tonight is not a night for triumphalism. It's a night to bring the country together. And for the 48% that didn't vote in that historic referendum, it's also worth recalling that many of those people, they're Democrats and they accepted the result of the referendum. They've embraced it, and the whole country now has that opportunity to end division, move together as one nation.
Just one final thought, if you don't mind, while I've got you. We know you've started asking government departments for 5% of savings, while yet, in terms of infrastructure spending, you have decided that HS2 is a good idea. What made you change your mind? Well,
first of all, I'm not going to talk about HS2. I've made no decision yet. It's a decision for the entire government, and we're discussing it in government. When we've made the decision, we will be clear about what that is. So no decision yet. But in terms of finding savings in government, a government should always be looking for savings to make sure that every penny on behalf of taxpayers is being properly spent, and that's the job of the Treasury, and that's something we take very seriously, so we can take all that funding that we have from taxpayers and make sure it's absolutely focused on our central mission, which is levelling up across the country, spreading opportunity, making sure no part of this country is left behind.